Welcome back to the juiciest mess in medieval Europe. This is episode 2 in our historical clown fiesta. Last time, we watched France and England start beefing over some royal DNA drama. Edward III of England said, "Hey, I'm basically French," and France said, "You thought." Now, we're spiraling into a century-long divorce with swords. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time. If you're new here, welcome to Kronos History, where we break down the greatest moments in history and turn them into greater stories. Whether you're bored, learning, or somewhere in between, we've got something cooked up for you to keep you entertained. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Edward III, the original royal main character, thought he had big throne energy because his granddad was a French king. But France hit him with the "no girls allowed" Salic law and rejected his application. Oof. Meanwhile, France was poking Edward's last French territory, Aquitaine, like a passive-aggressive HOA. Edward clapped back by messing with France's bestie Scotland, backing some chaos merchant named Edward Balliol. Then, over in Flanders, aka France's anxious neighbor who needs English wool to survive, an embargo in 1336 sparked full-on factory worker rage. And then it popped off. May 1337, King Philip VI of France said, "I'm taking Aquitaine." And Edward was like, "Cool, then I'm the King of France now." Boom, the 100 Years' War was on. First phase, the Edwardian War, from 1337 to 1360, where England came out swinging with W after W. Slies, Crécy, Poitiers. Not just about land, this was about vibes, thrones, and ego. Spring 1337. Paris is buzzing. At Vincennes, Philip VI unrolls a scroll and says, "Aquitaine is mine now." Dead silence. Drama. Aquitaine had been England's Airbnb for decades. Sure, they were technically French vassals, but in reality, Bordeaux was pumping out wine to England like it was Costco. Local lords loved English gold. French tax guys, well, couldn't get a lunch invite. The excuse? A spicy knight named Robert of Artois, wanted in France, fled to Edward's squad and started giving out war advice. France asked for him back, and England hit them with the decline. French lawyers screamed, "This ain't just rude, it's feudal treason." May 24, 1337, French agents show up in Bordeaux, read the "you've been evicted" decree. Merchants panic. No more wine money. French troops yoink some castles, and Edward gets the news in London and absolutely loses it. Rips up the decree in front of his barons like a true drama king. If Philip wants this war, he can catch these hands and this crown. London goes turbo mode. Archers, ships, weapons, everything gets forged. Gascon merchants secretly help. Meanwhile, Philip VI is handing out stolen land like party favors, totally unaware he just kicked off a war that would last 116 years. This wasn't just a property dispute anymore. It wrecked feudal norms. Now it was nation versus nation. As Chronicle Joan Froissart wrote, this wasn't war, it was Europe hitting the reboot button. By mid-1337, it's army versus army. France squad, 40,000 deep, fully armored knights, Genoese crossbowmen, and urban militias. But they moved like molasses, and half the knights cared more about posing than strategy. England, smaller squad, 15,000 tops, but they were pros. Scottish war vets, Welsh longbowmen with laser aim, German Flemish mercs, and a navy that could pull up literally anywhere. Plus, English Parliament kept the war wallet full, and their alliance with Flanders meant they could hit the medieval weapon shop anytime. Flanders leaned English for the wool. Gascony? Well, technically French, emotionally Team England. Brittany? Civil War Central. Even the Holy Roman Emperor said, "Yeah, Ed's the real king." This wasn't just swords and castles, it was a vibe clash. France played feudal cosplay, England played tactical chess. As Jean Labelle said, France prepped for a joust, England came for the hunt. And spoiler alert, only one of those wins wars. By late 1337, things got spicy. Edward's out here crafting alliances like it's fantasy football. Flemish cities, German princes, and Channel pirates all join the squad. His navy goes full menace mode on the French coast, burning ports like mixtapes. In 1338, France claps back with a savage raid on Southampton. Chaos. But in 1340, Edward pulls the Una reverse card at Slice. English longbowmen rain hell from ship decks, and the French navy gets absolutely ratioed. Thousands dead. The Channel now a British swimming pool. But Edward doesn't press the win. He dips home, broke and distracted by a spicy little Scotland problem. The next few years were full of mini-wars, absolutely everywhere. In Brittany, rival claimants beef for the crown with England and France behind them. Gascony turns into a medieval tug of war with castles changing hands like Pokemon cards. Edward's MVP, Henry of Grosmont, drops into southwest France with lightning raids, stealing dubs and French wine. France still thinks chivalry will carry them. England is just farming W's. Welcome to the 100 Years' War. And guess what? We're only getting started. By 1346, Edward III was ready to pull off the medieval version of an Ocean's 11 heist. While the Flemings stirred up chaos in the north and the Gascons did their things in the south, Edward pulled the ultimate Una reverse and landed in Normandy. On the 12th of July, English ships popped off Saint-Vaast-le-Hogue. Local French garrisons saw those English flags and immediately said nope. Thus began the chevauchée, a flaming, fast-paced road trip straight through France's ego. This war, not your romantic night stuff. Edward wasn't here for joust and shiny duels. He knew France's army was in giga mode, so he invented the chevauchée. Not just raiding, nah, this was economic and psychological arson with a side of cow theft. Tiny but chaotic English squad of 1,000 to 5,000 dudes just blitzed through France, dodging castles, torching grain, jacking livestock, and making the countryside look like post-apocalyptic Skyrim. Villagers barbecued, crops gone, vineyards bye. This wasn't just for the vibes though. It hit 3 key goals. First, starve them out. Burn their snacks, mess up their supply chain, and watch the economy fall over. Languedoc needed 5 years to recover after the Black Prince hit it in 1355. Second, spread panic. Smoke columns from miles away had peasants speedrunning to safety. In 1346, Edward got so close to Paris, the French king set fire to his own suburbs. And third, bait the French into a bad fight. Knights hated looking useless, so they came charging into traps like it was a TikTok challenge. The chevauchée worked too well. By the 1420s, France adapted, standing armies, defense zones, the works. But in 1346, it was revolutionary. Froissart put it best, they didn't conquer land, they deleted memory itself. The English were moving fast, 20 to 25 kilometers a day, double the norm. They only torched enemy lands. Friendly spots got a free pass, which stirred some internal beef. They even spared churches just to let monks tell everyone, wow, these English guys are basically holy arsonists. And the French were not built for this. Their feudal system had knights serving like 40 days max. They couldn't get mobilized fast enough. While they were just still lacing up their boots, Edward was already miles away, cooking in another village. Peasants ran to cities, which led to famine, riots, and eventually full-blown peasant revolts, like the Jacquerie in 1358. Edward didn't just raid, he did a full-blown country tour. His squad landed at Saint-Vaast-le-Hogue, then instantly nuked Barfleur, looting and burning everything in sight. Then they rolled inland, skipping forts but frying absolutely everything else. Caen, Normandy's big deal admin center, got straight up clapped on July the 26th. 3 days of flames. From there, Edward swerved southeast towards Paris, torching farms, villages, and wine like it was his villain origin story. Philip VI, the French king, was scrambling. His army was too far north, trying to catch up, while Edward's lads zoomed through the countryside. By the 12th of August, they were at Poissy, 30 kilometers from Paris. Panic button pressed. Philip burned his own suburbs just to deny the English a place to crash. But Edward didn't really want Paris. He veered north to regroup with his supply ships. Big brain move. The French chased them, but they were tired, scattered, and totally not ready for what was next. On August 26, 1346, Edward picked a hillside near Crécy to make history. He had 12,000 troops, including his 16-year-old son, the Black Prince, running the front lines. They dug pit traps and waited. The French rolled up with 25 to 40k troops, pretty massive army, most of them just vibing in chaos. First mistake, sending in the Genoese mercs. These dudes were just soaked from a 30-kilometer march, forgot their shields, and had soggy crossbows. Their rate of fire, pretty tragic. The English longbowmen, aka archery snipers, just unloaded. Genoese panicked and dipped. The French knights, instead of regrouping, just mowed down their own mercs. Like, how dare you retreat in our war? Then came the arrow rain. English volleys were hitting from 200 meters, armor piercing like it was cheat code. French knights got stuck in mud, tripping over traps, and just got shredded. John the Blind, actual king of Bohemia, literally tied himself between two knights and charged in blind. Iconic, and also fatal. By nightfall, Crécy was a whole battlefield of yikes. Dead nobles everywhere. France's royal fam got ratioed by peasants with bows. Paris melted down, riots, finger-pointing, general panic. Philip VII barely made it out and dumped the crown stress on his son, John II, who raised taxes so hard the peasants revolted again. The economy tanked, coin inflation, bankers getting robbed for ransom money. It was pretty rough. But this wasn't just a military L, it was a cultural shift. The longbowmen became the new meta. France got serious about reform. Standing army, gunpowder, better leadership, and people started thinking of themselves not as vassals, but as French. The nation-state era was officially booting up. And boom, Crécy. Edward torched half of France and rewrote the rules of war, all in one go. This was episode 2 in our chaotic 100 Years War saga. Luckily, we're just getting started, so smash that subscribe button, hit that like, and stay tuned for more Fury nonsense. And see you again on Chronos History.